Well, good morning. We are back in the kitchen, and we are back in the kitchen because my Curtido it seems to have a brine problem, and I've never had this problem before, but it initially, like the first couple weeks, the brine kind of bubbled out and spilled over, and because of that, I wasn't really sure what to do. It just didn't seem like it was making its own brine after that happened. And I added some brine from, I think it was some kohlrabi, and that helped. But the problem is that when I put it in the jar, because this is basically sauerkraut and you've got it packed down in, it didn't get down like to the bottom. So basically the top had started to ferment. It's been about 4 weeks, but the bottom was just like salty cabbage, which it is until it ferments. So I thought, all right, I've got to do something. And I also kind of wanted to take the opportunity to get some peppers in, because when I made it, I didn't really have peppers. And I was trying to do one version that was less spicy for Dave and one version that was spicier. But you know what? This is just a mix of peppers, and most of them are not spicy. There might be a little kick. There might be a couple jalapenos in here to give it a little kick. But for the most part, this is not going to be a very spicy addition to it. So I'm just going to mix it into the whole thing. So I'm going to show you, after I get these peppers chopped, I'm going to show you what I'm doing to hopefully solve this problem. And because I've never done this before, it's like I'm just trying it. I'm not saying this will solve the problem, but because it's not like, because it's a sauerkraut, you're basically encouraging it to make its own brine. So I figured I could probably take it out and get it to make its own brine. So here's what I did. I dumped both half-gallon jars into here. So this is now a gallon. My hands are clean. And what I did is I literally just went in here. Now, if you have spicy peppers, please wear gloves. But I didn't have any spicy peppers in. So I have just literally been in here massaging this. I didn't do anything else to it. Nothing was added. There's plenty of salt in there. And I am just trying to encourage it. So when I punch this down, can you see that liquid? That's what I want. I want that brine. So this has been sitting here for about an hour. I'm gonna go ahead and pack it into the same exact jars. I didn't even wash this out. The only thing I did do is I washed the little weight and the spring that was in it. And then as I put the Curtido back in, I'm gonna layer the peppers in. The peppers could encourage it to ferment a little faster, but really I just think the problem was I didn't have the brine. It just wasn't there. And as the weather has cooled off, it's gonna slow down the fermentation process. Sauerkraut can take anywhere from 3 weeks to 6 weeks. Typically 4 weeks is a good sweet spot for me, but I'm about at that right now. So, oh, it's got some nice brine in it now. So I'm hoping in another 2 weeks we should have a really good Curtido. Sometimes it just takes patience. But I was very concerned that I just didn't have brine, so the bottom of those jars was just sitting empty, and I don't know how it would have fermented like that. So let's get this in the jars. I think my funnel is downstairs, so I'm just gonna try to pack this in right now without the funnel. And if it starts making too much of a mess, I'll go get the funnel. And I'm just gonna add peppers like this. And then I will come in and pour brine over each of the jars. A few more. I should have a funnel. I should have a funnel. All right, so I'm gonna press that down, and you can see in the bottom of the jar already I've got brine in there, and that's what I want. I'm gonna add about half of what's in here to this jar and then half to the next jar. And I think this is gonna make just such a difference. You know, it's just kind of a bummer at the very beginning. I think it was so warm that my ferments were just, they were so quick. And I think it started to bubble, and because I use those special lids, any of the liquid that's bubbling over just comes out. And I think too much of it came out was basically the problem. That looks pretty with the peppers, doesn't it? Oh my gosh, so much better. I can finally see brine in there rather than just straight up cabbage. So if you happen to have been having a similar problem where your ferment was dry and you were using a cabbage, like a sauerkraut, you could do this. When you're using an actual brine where you've used water and salt rather than the brine that the vegetable makes itself, you wouldn't need to do this. You'll always have enough of that. But this is just a little bit different process because it is, you know, the water is being pulled out of the cabbage by the salt. All right, I'm gonna leave that one for now. This is making me very happy. That is a whole lot of brine in there. And I'm gonna just get this other one started. Whoa, okay, that is a problemo. I saw something in there that was suspicious. It was just a dark piece of cabbage. Okay, it made me lose my focus and I got cabbage all over the place. It wasn't too much, so I'm not totally upset. I don't think any of the animals are gonna come eat that though. And again, I've got a clean hand. Everything was washed up before. I actually wanted to do this a few days ago, but I had to wait till our water was usable again because our water, we had a boil alert where you basically have to boil your water for it to be safe. The water had been contaminated, which really isn't reassuring, is it? And there was no way I was gonna do this like in anything I had washed from the water until the water was safe. The water is safe, so I was able to wash this pot that I poured the ferment into twice. I washed it in really hot soapy water, and then I washed it again and I rinsed it in cool water. And I felt good about that, but you know, I definitely didn't want to contaminate my ferment after spending a long time growing this cabbage, growing these peppers, fermenting this beautiful food. I mean, this doesn't look like much, but this is like 5 or 6 cabbages in a gallon of Curtido. That's a lot of food. And this, I usually try to make double this amount to last for the year. So I'm gonna, you know, just hope that my garden grows the fall cabbages. I have a ton of them planted. So my hope is that I'll be able to do this again. And then I'll probably have to take some help from the farmer's market for the peppers. I'm gonna have to take help from the farmer's market to do my fermented hot sauce, which we will make together. I just haven't been out there to get the peppers. Okay, so much happier about this situation. And look, all it took was me taking it out and massaging it. Just giving it a little massage love, because what happens is when it's all tucked into the jar like that, if it loses its brine, it just doesn't have a way to kind of make it again. You have to get in there and mush it. Like, this is how you get the brine. All right, so I feel good about this. I am going to get a towel and wipe the edges really well, clean that off. But just seeing the brine in here, this is a totally different story. So this is what you want to see when you have a sauerkraut or a curtido. or kimchi even. You want to see it filled with that brine. All right. So I'm going to use a paper towel. Since the boil water alert, I've just been really careful about just not using stuff that has touched the water, even the laundry. I just don't want to contaminate something as precious as a ferment. There's no need for that. So that's a nice cleaned up jar. And then I'm going to add my weight back on and just press it down in there, and you can see the brine. So good. This makes me so happy. I'm so glad I did this. I'm going to give this lid a rinse. Again, this is why I wasn't doing this with the boil water alert, because I didn't want to have to boil water just to dip the lid in, to dip the paper towel, you know, all of it. So here we go. This is what you want to see. And now I've got those spicy peppers, or peppers anyway. That feels a lot more like Curtido to me. I am going to sit it on this bowl because we could have the same problem. It could overflow and all the brine could come out, but I'm hoping this time it stays. Got my bowl. Oh, you can even see, look, it's sloshing around. There's so much brine in there. This makes me happy. I think in 2 weeks, I should start to notice a really good ferment on these now. So that was just a quick one today. I just wanted to show you a little bit of problem solving where, you know, because I've been fermenting for a while, then I have some ideas of kind of like what helps and what doesn't, but I've never actually had this problem happen before. So this is brand new for me, and we'll see if it works. I think it should. But if you have any questions, I'm happy to chat about it in the comments. I'd love to know what you're fermenting. So we've got, what have we done this year? We've done garlic scapes, kohlrabi. We have some pickles, so cucumbers, radishes, turnips, and kimchi. So that's what we've got fermented. Basically, my refrigerator is a fermentation station. The kids get room for their milk and yogurt and cheese, the things I don't eat. They don't eat my ferments. I don't touch their dairy. When I say my kids, I'm usually referring to 2 or 3 specific children, sometimes even 4 out of the 5. Chloe eats almost, or will try anything I make, but she's 20. She's actually 20 today. Happy birthday, Chloe. She loves the kohlrabi. She loves the kimchi. She's been waiting for this Curtido. I wanted to send some to college with her, but it just wasn't, working. So hopefully in about a month, I'll be able to send some with her. So, I just have children who are, I've talked about this, they're food sensitive. I believe that when they are older, because I went through that too, and now I'll try almost anything. But I went through that around their, ages where they're in those teenage years, and food gets very simple. And so I do a lot of deconstructed meals, and then I eat what I want. And one of the ways that I make things really special and fun is through my ferments. Some of the kids will eat the pickles. And through my things like Singapore hot chili sauce, fermented hot sauce, onion jam, right? Chutneys, all of those things. So I can make a very simple meal, let's say, of like a lemon chicken and rice. And most of the kids will eat like a cut up raw veggie, but I like to have like a beautiful vegetable sauteed on the side, so I could saute some green beans or some zucchini. Dave, Chloe, and I will eat that. The other kids will eat the raw veggie, and then I might put a little ferment on mine, although I tend to eat ferments in the morning, like with eggs or in fried rice. And then we could do something like we could add a little chutney, we could add a little onion jam, we could add some Singapore hot chili sauce, and then it just elevates that meal while providing a little bit of something for everyone. And it's gotten tricky. Like we along with the like highly sensitive food needs, we also have some OCD food stuff that we work with, like an aversion to ketchup, tomatoes, anything tomato, even on pizza or anything, like just can't be near tomatoes. And so that kind of makes it even more challenging. So for us to do pizza, like even to buy frozen pizzas, impossible. And so what we do if we do a pizza is, you know, we would use a barbecue sauce. We would make it here, do a barbecue sauce on the, like the one that needs the no tomatoes. There's a kid who can't have any chunks of tomatoes, but will eat it if it's a smooth sauce. So we do that. And then Chloe and I need gluten-free, dairy-free, so we'll do that. Maybe use pesto, maybe use, you know, whatever we have, garden veggies. So pizza night, while that tends to be the simplest meal in a lot of people's homes, for us would require maybe 4 different kinds of pizzas to feed this big old family. So I don't actually do pizza that often. Chloe and I kind of do it separately. We'll make like a lunch. She'll do like a big cast iron pizza and eat off of that for a couple days. All right, I am standing in Curtido all over the rug. I need to get cleaned up. I'm just talking and talking and talking apparently today. All right, yeah, let's chat ferments down in the comments. If you are new here, I'd love to have you subscribe. I know it's like one of those things where people ask and you're just like, ugh, but it does help. It does work. It's amazing that when you ask someone to please help you support the channel, that they're willing to do that, because sometimes people just forget. I know I do. And so when we say like, could you give it a thumbs up if you like this video, leave a comment, because that helps create community, and subscribe if you're new here. It does help. And I have that same reaction sometimes where I'm just like, ugh, really? And I like when people get kind of clever, but it sometimes gets really silly. I found that it's just best to be straightforward and ask every so often, not every video, just every now and then. So thanks for being here. I appreciate you. Bye. Happy fermenting. Standing on cabbage. Definitely standing on cabbage. And now I've got to clean up this mess.